Hello, dear friends. This is Christina
Hello.
Mendakiani, co-founder of Mindvalley, and welcome to my honest conversations. And you might know that Mindvalley stage is super busy today, so we didn't manage to start on time because there are a lot of speeches and events happening. So we'll do our best to finish within the next 50 minutes so that we give green room to the next speakers. And I have an interesting guest today. I'm going to read out my guest's bio because otherwise I'll butcher it.
Oh.
And hi, Jane.
Hello.
You have a very impressive bio, so I don't want to butcher it. So I have Jane Wilson right now with me, and I'm very excited about the topic. And I guess those who know me, you will know why. So Jane is the leader of Up to No Good Club, personal trainer, group fitness instructor, founder of Pole Fit Nation, Reclaim Your Spark podcast, speaker, Canadian pole fitness master champion in 2015-2018. And we'll get to know Jane a little more, I guess, throughout this conversation. I want to tell you straight away, those who came from the exercises, we're not going to do pole dancing, although I wish we did. And I know that the next session is also going to be about health. So we'll talk about something else, actually.
Amazing.
So welcome, Jane.
Oh, thank you. And thank you so much for inviting me and all the little fun little tech stuff in the beginning. Life is interesting when we're using Zoom.
It is. Also, you know, in the real stage, you can make faces to the previous instructor, like, you know, I'm impatient. Here, you just patiently wait because nobody knows how impatient you actually to go on stage. So, Jane,
yes.
This is honest conversations. They are absolutely casual, but they're honest. So, you talk about a very interesting topic, sexuality.
Yes.
And I want to straight away go and ask an important question because this is honest conversation. So it is about important topics in life. How important is female sexuality in a woman's life? And I want to ask it in the context that, you know, success in our contemporary understanding is something to do with probably corporate life, corporate settings, or if not corporate, then politics, you know, the professional world. So how important is sexuality for a contemporary woman, and how appropriate is that reminder for a woman if she is in the professional world, if I can say?
Well, feeling sexy in your life is a part of being a human being. It is a need we all have. And what we found is that with life's responsibilities, it starts to take away from that energy. And feeling sexy is a personal feeling. It is a completely self-defined. So what's sexy for one person is different for another. And it's finding what feels right for you and what speaks for you. Now, in corporate life, I mean, obviously we have professionalism and that's the way we are in our corporate lives. But what about outside of corporate life, in our personal lives? Feeling that energy, having swagger in our lives, feeling bold, feeling daring, it brings up your confidence level. And it makes somebody have that presence about them. And I believe we all have that need inside. And I've come to witness over 10,000 people feel this way, reinvent their lives. And that was through owning a pole dancing for fitness studio. Oh, by the way, I love your earrings. Everyone's commenting about your earrings. I love your earrings.
They're almost a staple now. I love them so much that I wear them almost more than I should. I'll buy. Actually, this was a gift. But coming back to sexuality, yes. I understand that for a woman, often feeling sexy and attractive is something that gives her confidence. But we usually don't need so much confidence in our everyday life, in our private life. Confidence is what we need in professional setting. So I know I'm pushing probably in a little odd direction, but I've always been a little curious about that, mostly because I know that in my case, I can't just switch off my sexuality. If I feel attractive, I will feel attractive whether I'm wearing a a blouse like this, or I'm covering my shoulders. It's like, it's like underwear. Nobody can see it, but you know that you're wearing a beautiful lace underwear. So is there a way to bring that confidence into your professional world, or let's say on stage or in front of the camera, where exactly you need to feel the confidence?
Absolutely. It's that feeling from the inside out. So you're going to want to fuel that from the inside out. So there's many different ways that you can do this, starting with feeling more energized. It's hard to feel mesmerizing, and it's hard to feel that you want to attract when you have been sitting around all day, when you've been stationary, when you haven't been moving. So when you start bringing exercise and movement into your life, it shakes up your energy and it starts to bring in more vitality. We are attracted to people who feel vitality, who exude energy. So it's getting moving, adding more exercise, more movement into your life, and it's doing things that make you feel good. One of the reasons why I gravitated towards pole dancing is because it was something that I was attracted to and it made me feel good. Pole dancing may not be for everybody. It may be something different. So it's finding something that feels good for you and getting started, getting that engine going, getting that motor going. Another thing that you can do is to start shaking up your world by taking little dares. It's a little game I like to play, is daring yourself to step out of your comfort zone. So that could be changing your routine, or joining up for a class that you've always wanted to try. Or making new friends, joining a different group. It's shaking up your world and trying something different. It's breaking up the stagnant and the monotony.
Since you mentioned pole dancing, I know I read a little more about you than what I read.
Let's dive right in. Ask away.
I know you've done also striptease and this kind of, I mean, dancing as in,
absolutely.
As in, I don't know, performing art, I guess.
Yes.
So you must understand the nature of attractiveness. And this is a very selfish question. I just want to understand, where does it come from? Because just for a context, sometimes I do all the motions, the makeup and the dress, and I feel desperate. As in desperate, as in you walk out and you're like, maybe it's too much, maybe it's asking for attention. And sometimes I don't do anything and I just feel attractive, and I don't need to do anything. Everything is just.
So it's that feeling that you have. It's a feeling that you have that for yourself. So it's coming from the inside out. Yes.
Thing come from? What constitutes attractiveness or sexuality for you? Yeah. Maybe.
I firmly believe it's defining it for yourself. It's not listening to what other people are deciding what's sexy and what's attractive. It's choosing for yourself what is sexy and attractive for you. And when you make that step to making those definitions for yourself, you don't care what other people are going to think about you. Because you are more caring about yourself. So if makeup isn't your thing, then don't put the makeup on. If like you had mentioned, that you were feeling more sexy, having more of a fresh face, more natural look, then go that path. It's deciding for yourself versus having other people decide for you.
So I guess the question is, so is being sexy really like underwear? You only keep it under your own, under whatever is visible outside?
No,
is it only for your bedroom? Is it only for your lover, or is it something which is usable outside? And if yes,
absolutely. I think we're very afraid of the word sexy. I think we get very hung up about the word sexy. And one of the things I've with my students I've talked about is, if the word sexy feels uncomfortable for you, change the word. Use a different word. What about the word bodacious? That's a good one. Bodacious. What about the word having swagger, feeling bold, feeling daring? They are all the same feelings as the word sexy. So if you change the word, I want to feel mesmerizing. I want to feel beautiful and attractive. I want to have energy. It's the same type of feeling as the word sexy. And you can absolutely have it throughout your whole entire existence. It doesn't just have to be for the bedroom. In fact, the more you feel this way, the more natural it will feel. And it's here, Hillary just mentioned in the comments, I feel sexier without makeup. That is wonderful. That's your definition of it. And when you define it for yourself, then it starts to exude throughout. So definitely bring it out of the bedroom, bring it through everyday part of your life.
Is it appropriate though? Because I understand when you say being bold is similar as sexy. Bold, yes, it seems absolutely normal to take it outside. Attractive, and I know I'm being playing the devil right now in the sense that
and you know what? And to be honest with you, like so it's bold for me to come out and say to women that it's okay to want to feel sexy. Because there's a lot of people who put up barriers around feeling sexy. We've been taught that it's not okay to feel sexy, that you should only feel sexy in one spot of your home. I want to feel sexy walking down the street. That's okay. That's for me. I'm not doing it to try and attract somebody else. I do it for myself. Over the pandemic, when we were in lockdown here outside in Toronto, and we could not go anywhere, I would put on my music, put on my headphones, and I would strut around my neighborhood. And I did it on purpose because I did it as a form of defiance. I was stuck in my home. I was stuck in a very stagnant energy. And I love feeling sexy in my life. I love how it feels. I love it. So I would put some naughty songs on, songs that were dirty and had bad words in it. I'd put them on and I would go strut around my neighborhood with them I'm listening to my AirPods, and I didn't care. I don't care if somebody is going to look at me and think, who is she? Hey, I'm up to no good. I'm loving it. It's for myself. I'm up to no good. I love it.
You'll have to tell us more about Up to No Good. I want to ask why is it important for you? Like, I'm asking all of that because part of my coming to terms with who I am was being okay with the fact that I actually want to be attractive, whether I'm in a relationship or not, whether I'm at home or on stage. For me, I just stopped pretending. It is important for me.
Absolutely.
So why is it important for you to feel attractive?
So I've been on the other side of this. I've been on the other side where to feel sexy was shameful.
Yes,
why would you want to feel that way?
That's where I came from.
Okay. So my story to the poll, I was an early childhood educator. I was a preschool teacher and I had a classroom full of kids and I was very much into my work.
Preschool teacher pole dancing.
I know. The preschool teacher turned pole dancer. And so that was my part of my life. And as a preschool teacher, you have rules that you have to go by. You are a role model. I was on a leave of absence from work. I had just given birth to my second child, and I wasn't feeling very good about myself. I wasn't feeling, all those vibes. And a friend mentioned to me, why don't you go take a pole dancing class? And I was instantly offended. How dare you tell me that I should go and do a pole dancing class? Don't you know what kind of people do that? So I came in, and I came in with, I'm always honest up front. I was very judgy. I was very set in how I was supposed to be. But my friend dared me to the class, and I did. And I will be honest with you, after that first hour of the class, I was like, take my money. I just love this. I love how I feel. I love how I move. I want to continue to feel this way. And that was my path to pole. I never went back to being an early child educator. I went and I opened up a studio and started to teach people and more people. And I never want to go back to it. I never want to go back to feeling contained, feeling restrained, and feeling that I have to keep myself in a box. I want to break free of those rules. I want to shake my hair. I want to put on those sexy heels. I want to feel that way because it's such a great freedom to have.
By the way, for those who haven't tried pole dancing, I've tried it a long time ago, but I had such bruises on my legs that I didn't go back.
We call those pole kisses.
I have to say, it's probably one of the hardest workouts I've ever done. So from the sports point of view, it's incredible. But going back to that, feeling attractive. So the other side of feeling attractive is actually getting the attention. And I lived for 16 years in Malaysia, which is, I wouldn't say it's a traditional society, but there are enough traditional people. There are enough unrestrained people as well.
Okay.
And what I learned there was that if I don't want attention, I just close up.
Okay.
And then,
Okay.
and then, so how do you deal with the attention that you don't need? Because you say that you want to be attractive, but it's your own personal feeling, and it has nothing to do with you trying to find something, some mate on the street or whatever. I'm of course using.
No, I understand.
Right now. But how do you deal with the unwanted attention? Because if you are attractive, you are going to get it, no matter how you behave.
Yep. I just say no, thank you. I say no, thank you. So my husband, so one of the things I'll say to my husband, especially through my Instagram, because of course it's going to attract different attention. And if I get a comment, I instantly go, no, thank you. Off you go. Because I'm not looking for that in my life. I'm not putting on my heels and flipping my hair for somebody else. I do it for me. So if there's a comment that I'm uncomfortable with, boom, I shut it down. Off you go. Don't need you in my life. And but I don't go down the path of how dare somebody say that. I don't feed that. I just let it go and move on.
Mm-hmm. That's an interesting thing, and I think that's a tricky question nowadays. But before we go on, I want to first remind you guys that there is a Q&A section. So maybe after
there's some questions in there. Yes.
Yeah. So you can go and leave your question or vote for a question. But before, I want to ask you to actually leave an emoji in chat, which will represent how sexy do you feel. In general, maybe right now, maybe in general, you can leave it with any emoji that represents sexy. I don't know, fire or chili or cherry. Whatever.
The fire one is the one that gets.
There's
a peach. There's a dancing one. The fire one gets used a lot because it's that fiery spirit.
Hot. Yeah.
I'm hot. Yeah. It's like you want to, and you're shaking things up. I'm flipping my hair a lot because I have my curls are on today and I'm really excited about that. So that's why the curls are happening. Oh, we have a fox. We have a devil emoji. See when you break those rules, how much fun it is.
So vote for your level of sexiness. I want to ask about another thing, and I'm actually going to switch a little bit to a slightly different topic. I wanted to talk about sexy because you understand it maybe a little deeper because you're working with that. For me, it's just this path which I have been struggling with because of the shame, because of
create a lot.
This is not appropriate. Don't do that. And I know that it is real. Maybe for an entrepreneur, it's not such a big deal because I can say like Steve Jobs, I am what I am. Take me as I am. But if you're in any other field, then people judge. Last year, a very young, actually, Prime Minister of Finland got attacked for posing in an attractive, seductive, feminine picture. And I care about that because I think our expressions are important, and when we are trying to dim it down, we are actually doing something to our own core, saying that no, this is not okay for whatever reason. That's why I was probing you so much on how much is okay, how far is okay. But I do want to change the topic a little bit because I know that another topic that you talk about is also super important. It's anxiety. And
I do talk about that because I am very open and honest, and I share it openly, is that I suffer from a generalized anxiety disorder. And I face it every single day. And I talk about it because I think the more we normalize mental health, we normalize it, it takes the stigma away and it makes people more comfortable. So yes, definitely I'll share.
So how these two topics, which seem to be quite separate, how can you tie them together a little bit? Explain how are you dealing with this and that, or is it actually connected and I'm not seeing it, or maybe they are just different topics? Like I like to play harp and I like to draw, and they're not connected.
Well, so when you have an anxiety disorder, or just anxiety itself, you start to shrink, you start to hide, you are fearful, you will stay, you hold yourself back. And that's because you are afraid of rejection, you're afraid of making a mistake, you're afraid of the consequences. So you get very much wrapped up into the what ifs. So the catastrophizing starts. I have found that being bold in my life, taking those daring steps, celebrating my spirit, helps support my path with anxiety disorder. And I talk about it because I know a lot of people feel this way, feel anxious. And by talking about it and making it more normalized, I'm able to show people that you can come to the other side. You can live with this and still feel sexy, strong, and confident in your life.
But when you're having this anxiety, the strong, I don't know, case of anxiety or the episode of anxiety, it is obviously hard to
absolutely
to feel sexy. So how does it, or attractive or daring and bold?
Yes.
How do you balance that? Is it do you express yourself as a preventive measure, or as
so I have a lot of self-care strategies in place to support my anxiety disorder. They are all in place so that I can live the life that I want to live. And this was created from a support with an amazing therapist who helped me define what works for me. So my most difficult time is first thing in the morning. My anxiety attacks always would hit first thing in the morning. So we developed strategies to help me get past that anxiety attack. And for me, it was listening to music, because then I won't spiral down in my head. And I love music that fires me up. So I would start to listen to music first thing in the morning, and that will help me get over the hump, get to the next side. So definitely, I always recommend is talk to a therapist to help you develop the strategies that work for you so that you can feel the way you want to feel in your life.
Mm-hmm. So we have a few questions come in. So yes. Luba, if you could help us get someone maybe to come and join us and ask the question. Meanwhile, I'll ask this. So you said that you don't want people to wait for 20 years like you did to ask for help.
Oh, yes.
What was your story? Why did it take you such a long time to actually start working on that?
So my background with mental health is my mother suffered from manic depression, schizophrenia, severely. And back in the 70s and the 80s, we had a much different approach to mental health. There's a lot of shame around it. And I really think maybe this is the thread through today's discussion is all about shame. So there's a lot of shame around my mother's mental illness. So when I got my diagnosis 20 years ago, I instantly felt shame. And I was like, oh my gosh, here goes, I'm now heading down the same path as my mother. So I hid it for 20 years. But I tell you, the people who lived around me knew I was suffering. So don't wait 20 years. Get the help. And it's okay to have this disorder. It's totally fine.
Tell me more about shame. It is, I was thinking the same as you were explaining, as you were talking about your mom. And of course, the sexuality topic, we also talked that it is something connected to shame.
Absolutely.
So how do you deal with that? What do you do with shame? How do you act in spite of shame? And is it necessary? In the sense, yeah.
I think we all need to feel brave enough to face our shame and get on the other side of it. I know what it's like to live a life of shame and wanting to hide. I also know how it feels to be on the other side of it, and it's a lot more freeing. It is painful to look at the shame, to where the root of the shame is coming from. But I'm telling you that when you get to the other side of it, if you allow yourself to go through that pain, it's beautiful on the other side. So definitely don't be afraid of facing and conquering shame.
So we have Tiffany. Hi, Tiffany.
Tiffany.
I don't have your sound yet. Oh, no, I do. So I'll let you ask the questions. I'll probably come back to Shane because I have some more questions if I remember.
Absolutely.
But for now, Tiffany, welcome. Thank you for joining us. And I'm going to switch off my mic, not to add extra sound. And you can talk as long as you like. I mean, ask questions and maybe you have follow-up questions.
Hi, Tiffany.
Okay. Hello. Thank you. So my question was, what steps did you take to go from anxiety controlling the wheel to being able to take bold action?
No, I got the support of a therapist. Absolutely. I'm just saying that because I know how amazing it is when you have someone guiding you through. So that's number one. Another thing that I do is getting in tune with my body and know when anxiety is coming on, and to know how to talk myself down off the ledge. So what happens is when you're feeling anxious, for me, I feel a physical feeling first. My fingers will start to buzz. I get a buzzing sensation. So that's my very first sign of when my anxiety disorders acting up. So then I have a lot of self-talk and a lot of making sure that I don't go down the path of catastrophizing. And that was all through the support of a therapist. And when things are really bad, I am not afraid to call a friend. I have key people in my life who I trust, who I know will not make me feel ashamed for my anxiety disorder. And I'll call them up and say, okay, I'm having a bad day. I need help. So it all starts with getting support, asking for help, and knowing when you are starting. On the side note, I'm in the middle of moving. So I'm moving in a week. So behind this camera is all of these boxes. My anxiety disorder is firing up big time, but so I'm using all of my strategies to know that I'm going to be okay. And a big change is coming and I'm going to be just fine.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much. That was very helpful.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Tiffany, for joining us. And Luba, if there is anyone else who's willing to ask a question, then you can bring them on. Jane, I was wondering about, I want to go back to shame. I'm sorry.
Absolutely. And you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. Shame is the biggest barrier to overcome to feeling bold and daring, because we shame ourselves. And then you had mentioned earlier about other people judging you. Yeah. That's one of the things that I just want to quickly dive back quickly to that is we're being judged no matter what. And when you realize that, like right now, I'm being judged. The reason why I'm in front of a door is because I'm surrounded by boxes. And you may be thinking, why is her background looking that way? Like we're always being judged. So when you come to terms with that, it's a lot more freeing. It's like, I'd rather be judged for who I am versus the false person that I've created. So sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, this is a really good idea. And I mean, good thought to remember that no matter what you do, you're going to be judged.
Always to be judged. I'd rather be judged for who I am.
So the question that I have is this, but when do you know that you actually have to get over your shame, get through your shame and do something versus just keep it in? Because we all have our secrets, which would be a shame to share, or we would feel probably awkward to share. Like even you could talk about you having anxiety disorder, but you adding that you have that experience with your mom is strictly speaking not necessary, because you can't hide your anxiety, but you can hide, let's say, family secrets. I'm just bringing it up as an example.
Absolutely.
When do you know that you actually have to deal and face your shame versus are you just going too far and too deep, and maybe that information isn't necessary to the world or for the world?
When your shame is holding you back from enjoying life and having meaningful, wonderful relationships, that's when you need to deal with it. When you are destroying relationships, I've seen relationships destroyed because of shame. I've seen people hold themselves back and play small because of shame. So when you know that you're not going after what you want in life because you are ashamed, that's when you need to go forward and deal with it. Because one thing I've learned about living in this world, we never really know if we're going to have another day. So go after what you want.
So there's no need for me to share anything that I haven't shared so far. My darkest secrets, unless it holds me back from living. So we have Beth here.
Hi, Beth.
Hi, Beth.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. I as you can see, I'm a plus size. I was a lot less plus size, still plus size, and felt very, very sexy. And I got a divorce.
Okay.
And during COVID, which was and moved and all that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah.
And I lost my sex appeal. Like my hair stays usually in a hat or in a bun. I'll put some makeup on before I have to get on a Zoom call. But which is why I was like, you know what, I'll show you how I look, because this is how I look. But I totally feel like I was listening when you were talking about the anxiety, because that has come out since the divorce. But I feel like I have lost all sex appeal. And I'm still trying to get my arms around, like, it's okay to be a larger woman. Absolutely. And still be sexy. And I've lost it. I used to have it, but it's gone. It's gone. So that's the part that and I'm seeing people put messages up, and I'm like, thank you everyone, because that's just wonderful. But I'm just wondering, what message do you give to your clients, or the people that you talk to that are like plus size? And I'm hesitant to, I was really hard on myself on trying to word it, because if someone feels good being that size, who am I to say, well, you're overweight? Because that's the other part I try to like watch as I was saying it. So
yes. So let's acknowledge that you've gone through quite a lot in the last 14 months. Like, you've gone through a major life change. Going through divorce during a pandemic is a lot. So there's this whole you're changing your life. So it's this grief period that you're going through. And it's very much, you're coming through the side of starting to heal, of going towards healing, and defining what you want out of your life, what you want. And like now you're looking at, what kind of life do I want to live? How do I want to feel? What do I want to wear? What color do I want to paint my walls? Like, you are choosing to define your life now, but acknowledge that you're going through a major life change. And so it's okay to be feeling this way right now. It's okay to want to put the hat on and put the sweats on, because you've been wounded.
Yes.
So what I always say to everybody is, with my studio, when I owned the studio and with my classes, I never focused on body size. I never focused on that. I'm more focused on how you're feeling inside, because when what you're feeling inside will translate on the outside. So I always recommend to start feeding your soul, taking care of you inside, and rebuilding from the inside out. One of the things in the pole dancing community that I always talk about is there seems to be this celebration of a certain body type: the tall, the thin, and the young. I'm 46 and I've gone through my body changes. So in the pole community, I am on the mission to bust that feeling sexy doesn't depend on your age, doesn't depend on your size, it doesn't depend even on your gender. So focus on you. Take care of yourself and honor what you've gone through, and then decide what kind of life you want to live now and go for it.
Well, that's why I joined Mind Valley, because
it's a great place to start.
That helped to change this stuff. But that's a good message, and I appreciate that, because I thought that there was no way this 53-year-old was ever going to try pole dancing, but I might, that might be an interesting thing for me to try at some point.
Later on today, I have a private lesson with a woman who's 72 years old. She put a pole up in her house, and we're meeting over Zoom, and we're going to flip our hair and, swing our hips around. And that brings her joy. I'm on a mission to help people realize that sexiness is not defined by age, size, and privilege. You will have it. It's all for you for the taking.
Thank you.
Beth, thank you so much for asking this question. It's really a brilliant question. Thank you so much. In fact, I'm going to keep digging in that direction right now. So just to share, I divorced a little before lockdown, and I know it's such a scary thing to realize that you're single at the time when meeting people is not an easy task. And I've also put on some weight, so not maybe too much, but I feel the pain. I don't have an answer for you, but I feel your pain in my own way. So thank you for sharing.
I would love to ask if we would remove the shame of gaining weight over the pandemic. Like, we've collectively gone through trauma. And to add on top of that, oh, we've all gained weight. That's okay. That's okay. We've gone through quite a lot.
I've been on quite interesting experiments throughout the pandemic, and I do exercise still a lot. So it's a whole other topic, but I want to dig into what Beth started, because I think it's super important. We live, as you just mentioned, we live in a society which glorifies beauty and young age, and I'm also past 40 already. So here's the question. So for me, like, I'm still in my healthy way, but I'm not what I used to be in my 20s, obviously. And we keep comparing ourselves to what we used to be. Yeah. So the question is, because I know you talk about that too, and here all the topics actually come together. The sexiness, the shame around wanting to be sexy. I think, Beth, it's the most brilliant thing about your question was that you actually said that you want to be sexy. The thing is that we are shamed for even wanting to be attracted. And I think this is terrible. So the wanting to be attractive, the shame and the anxiety, and it all comes down to, for a lot of women, to how we feel about our bodies. So do you have any tips or suggestions or any practices or something, how to come to terms with what is given to you in this body? And meanwhile, Luba, if we have one more person to ask a question, I'd be willing to give the floor after Jane answers this question.
So one of the things that I've come to realize, and honest conversations.
Yes.
I always, okay, I'm just going to come out and say, I've seen a lot of naked people. I've seen a lot of people naked. The reason why I say this, and I know we're having a very bold discussion, and it's in my book, so this is out there. In Canada, in Toronto, we have places called sex clubs. And these are on-premise sex clubs where people come together literally. And I would be hired to go in and teach pole dancing lessons. So I would go in my tank top and shorts, and they'd have a pole there, and I would teach somebody how to do a pole hold and how to move their hips. So I've seen a lot of naked people, and that's where I came to realize that we all have our dimples, we all have our rolls, we all have our stretch marks, we all have parts of us that are unique. And that was my greatest realization, to love my body no matter what. Because I've seen a lot of people in the flesh. And that's helped me realize that the roles that I have from having my babies, that's because I had babies and I love them for it. So I know that may be a different kind of answer, but that was my biggest realization, is seeing how people look naked. And we all have different fleshy bits.
So I'll borrow from an oldish sitcom from UK. They had this really funny sitcom called Coupling, and there was this technique. Imagine everyone in the room naked.
Yeah.
Maybe that will help. But jokes aside, we have Adriana. I hope I pronounced properly. Welcome.
Nice to meet you, Adriana.
Hi, nice to meet you. Lovely to meet you. I'm grateful I'm here because I was almost late for it. So yeah, I'm so pleased.
Well, it's okay. We were 3 minutes late, so it's all good.
No, I was like 20 minutes, so I didn't hear the start, but I'm already getting lots of it. So I'm very grateful that I'm here. I have a question regarding the defense. I have just, I guess I have the opposite problem. Okay. How not to be sexy.
Do you just attract? Are you like a magnet?
I have an issue with this because
Okay.
I don't do this on purpose. I'm just me. I'm just
Yeah.
natural, happy person. But I'm always taking wrongly, and also by my daughter, which is really upsetting. I mean, upsetting, but it's kind of like, what? Like I was like, I try to, I don't want to be defense, but then my ego pop up because obviously I'm very happy right now because I'm on my breakthrough journey. So
Okay.
I love myself finally, and I never did before. I have a big issue with my body, like loving my body and myself. And then finally I get to this point that I reach that, and I'm like judging all the time.
So
Also
people are
by
judging you, or you're judging?
people judging me
Okay.
that I'm very sexual, I'm very erotic. And I was like, but I am not doing this on purpose. That's me. Like, I don't know how to put it down to don't look like so sexual.
So I have a question for you.
Yes.
Are you happy with how you're living your life? Do you like you?
I love my life. Like,
Then that's all that matters. Everybody else they can figure it out themselves. It's how you feel for you. And if somebody else has an issue with it, they need to deal with it. If you are loving how you're living and it lights you shine, like you're shining through the camera right now. I
I
wouldn't
mean, I
want
love
you
my
to.
life, and I can't
Absolutely.
understand people like when I'm happy, they don't like me
Yes.
to be happy.
No,
I was like,
because upset people
what?
don't like other people. People who are not happy in their life don't want other people to be happy. They want you to come and join them in the muck. Where here you are, you're a rainbow, you're a light, you're loving your life. Don't change that. Don't dim it to make other people comfortable.
No, I
Keep
don't.
going. Yeah,
I
good.
think I need to leave the UK because the UK people just don't like it. Just they don't like it, happy people. That's so weird.
So,
And my daughter she was not born here, but she become exactly like them. And I'm like shocked. She's a happy person too. But then suddenly she give me like, oh, why are you so sexual on me? And I was like, I was just dancing. I was just happy. I was just feeling my mom and on the birthday party. What's wrong with you? Like, lose up. But they need alcohol, they need drugs, they need something, to make them losing up. I never need that stuff.
You're on your own. You're on your own drug. Yeah, I would suggest be a role model for feeling empowered in your life. Instead of being defensive to them, keep being you and show your daughter what it means to be vital in your life, what it means to have energy and feel good. Keep role modeling that, because she may go through a time where she's going to feel lost, where she's going to go through a lot. We go through it when we have babies, when we break up, where we have to experience divorce. So if you're being the role model on how to live a strong, confident life, and you're at peace with who you are, she'll look up to you. She'll be like, my mama is who I want to be. Right now, she may not see it.
Funny enough, on my birthday, 50th birthday, on 4th of April, like recently, she first time wrote me on the birthday card that she can finally call me a mom.
Okay.
So therefore, I was like surprised and really happy that finally, because she was not with me 9 years, she was taken to Yemen from me. So I fight for her 9 years. So that's to say to me that I really changed, and she saw that. Yeah. And actually, she said that I'm young in the heart. I can live until 100. That was amazing. But then after 2 weeks, like recently, she was telling me this, and I'm like, I'm confused. like
just keep being, keep being you, and show your daughter how to be vital and energized into your 50s and your 60s and your 70s. Like, keep going, because I personally, I look up to women like you, because that's how I want to be in my 60s, and when I grow up, that's how I want to be as well. So keep doing it. Yep, she'll come around. She'll come around.
Adriana, thank you so much. Unfortunately, we are coming to the point where we'll have to be mindful of the next speaker. So thank you so much for your question. It's a great question, and it resonated a lot with people. And what I really loved what Jane said, and I think everybody caught it because you said it very quickly, that don't be defensive to the rest of the world. I think
stand in your power.
It's okay that we are not understood sometimes, and it's allowing the world to be as they are, I think, which what gives you even more power. So since we have to finish soon, I want to ask you the last question, Jane.
Sure.
And that would be, I don't actually normally ask this question, but here it feels appropriate. If there was something you could leave the women of the world, this ended up being the conversation for women. I don't know. No, if there are guys, thank you. I think it's cool that you're here, but this is the conversation that women needed to hear. So if there is something you could leave the women with, like some message that you would want all the girls in the world to know before they grow up into the womanhood. And while you are answering, I'm going to traditionally ask all those who are attending to leave a heart for my guest. Yes, in the comments. And if you're watching it on YouTube later or on my Instagram, then leave a heart under the video. So Jane, the question.
Yes. If I were to leave this planet tomorrow, I would want women to remember that to take care of yourself, to feed your soul, to go after what you want in life, and that it's okay if you want to break rules and be daring and be bold and be mesmerizing. It's okay to want to play this way. I know what it's like to want to hide. Please come out of the shadows and go have some fun. Go play and have some fun.
Thank you so much, Jane, for such an honest and beautiful conversation, and for allowing us to talk about something which we are often ashamed to talk about. Thank you, the ladies who joined us and asked such honest, direct questions. And
Thank you.
yeah, you added a lot to this conversation. Yes, Jane.
May I say that if you do want to continue the conversation with me about feeling sexy, and also if you do suffer from anxiety and you want to continue that discussion, please look for me on Instagram under The Jane Wilson. I'm an Instagram gal, so I'm always looking out for people. You're easy
to spot there, by the way, because you look the same, which is awesome.
So thank you. And thank you very much for having me on to talk about this discussion. I greatly appreciate your time.
Thank you, Jane, so much. And yes, I should have asked that, how to find you. Is there a way to go deeper into that? And yes, I never got to ask about Up to No Good, but maybe that's something you will find
This whole discussion is about feeling up to no good. This is it all in a nutshell, is breaking your rules and embracing who you are, boldly being you.
Thank you, guys, and see you next week. Bye, and feel sexy. Please be sexy.